Well, it was a great Saturday night here in Overland Park at the Sheridan Ballroom. Had the chance to MC the 249th birthday celebration of the United States Army here in Kansas City, courtesy of the Association of the United States Army. And our next guest and a good friend, John Holt of Fox 4, he was honored and he received the Roger H.C. Donlin Patriot Award that's been going on for a few years here with the organization in Kansas City. And for those that don't know, Roger Donlin is a guy who ended his career as colonel, and he was the first person to receive the Medal of Honor in the Vietnam War. His widow, Norma, was there, and it was an honor to be a part of that, to MC that event. And John Holt is now here on KCMO. Great job on Saturday night, my friend. Congratulations once again.
Well, thank you, Pete, and I can't thank you enough for being there. What a terrific MC. I may have lost my job as the MC of that event. Future, you were terrific, and I note that we got out right on time, just the military time. Well done.
It was amazing.
Great to have you there. I was honored.
You know, I said that at the end of the event. I said, normally I do these things, and they ballpark, hey, it'll be 2 hours, and 3 hours later you're still sitting there. I mean, those military guys, they ran a tight ship there. I mean, we were done, 6:15 start, 8 o'clock finish. So it was very impressive, and great group of folks there that you've been involved with for a while, right?
Yes, and, anytime you're in a room full of active duty and retired and veterans, it's always impressive. And they were all many of them in their dress blues, and you just kind of ask yourself, what have I done with my life?
Yeah.
These are just amazing men and women who support our country and defend our freedoms. And of course, with Fort Leavenworth so close by, they have a real presence in our metropolitan area. And I've just always been a fan of the military. My son ultimately served in the Army as well, but just honored to have been a part of the event and have helped that organization and others in the past.
And for people who don't know the Roger Donlin story, beyond him being the first person to receive the Medal of Honor in the Vietnam War, what is his backstory that made him the person that they decided to name this award after?
Well, Colonel Donlin was, first of all, by way of a conflict of interest here, I guess he became a very good friend of our families, he and his wife Norma. We profiled him, John Hyduke and I, John being a Marine, by the way, which made it an interesting interview segment. We profiled him 10 years ago on the 50th anniversary of the Battle of Nam Dong. That was the fierce battle in Vietnam near the Laos border. Colonel Donlin, at that time, Captain Donlin, was in charge of a group of U.S. soldiers as well as Vietnamese soldiers who were ambushed by the Viet Cong, and that's the battle that ultimately he would be honored for. We profiled him 10 years ago, stayed in touch with him over the years, just a wonderful man, very humble, very kind. He ended up at Fort Leavenworth when he retired. He gave his wife Norma the option, where do you want to live? You've lived all over the country and the world with me. It's your turn. She chose Leavenworth. He was a teacher at the Command and General Staff College there. We became aware of him being there and tracked him down. And it was Norma Donlin, who's a very good friend of ours, his widow, who granted us permission to come to their home that day. We put the piece together, and it aired on the 50th anniversary in July of the Battle of Nam Dong. That was 2014. Of course, now we're coming up on the 60th anniversary.
Amazing. Well, once again, congratulations here officially on KCMO, and it was an awesome event to be a part of. Meantime, you had a pretty busy weekend, not only with that award, but you also broke the news on Saturday that the Royals are interested in exploring a potential future in the state of Kansas. What's the story there when that news broke? I guess it was on Saturday. What does that tell you about what this team is potentially looking at for its next?
Well, I think it tells you that the Royals are very serious about not playing at Kauffman Stadium. And they've said that in the past, as you know, Pete. We will not play out here beyond. I think they were trying to frame the vote back in April as not, you're not saving Kauffman Stadium if you vote no. In the end, they said, and the Chiefs said this as well, if the vote is not a success and the 38-cent sales tax isn't renewed, or there was some debate about extending it or whatever, we will look at all our options. And I think this just reinforces that. Do I think they're moving to Kansas? Do I think the Chiefs are moving to Kansas? Oh, no, there's a lot to be. We're in the first quarter or first inning, I would say would be the best way to put it. But with Kansas having a unique star bond program, and perhaps, depending on the special session coming up beginning next Tuesday, passing a specific star bond package that would be aimed at two franchises, and it may even name the Royals and Chiefs. I understand you had Speaker Hawkins on earlier today. We'll see. I think that's something that they have to explore. Any business person would. Does it mean they're crossing the state line? Not necessarily, but it certainly ups the ante and gives them an option.
What do you feel like, where does Clay County factor into all this? Because I thought they might go back to that North KC possible location before this Kansas thing came up, because that has a little bit more of a downtown feel to it, certainly, than the Legends does. Do you feel like Clay County is still in the mix in some capacity, or is that basically water under the bridge and all done?
I don't have any inside information on Clay County. I will say I think the issue the Royals faced there was the tax base for a sales tax that would have been probably a higher sales tax than they would have needed in Jackson County. Whether they want to go through another vote on something like that, I would doubt that they do. But let's face it, that was an attractive piece of property. You're right about that. It stays in Missouri. The team does if they go up there. I don't think downtown Kansas City's out of the mix. I think Mayor Quentin Lucas has made very clear, the city has made clear that they're now talking to the Royals, and I think they will remain very much in the mix. The question is, can they count on any help from the state of Missouri? And that is something that remains to be seen. You have a fairly conservative legislature. You have two of the three governor candidates who've come out, the Republican candidates who've said no to support for a professional sports team. So there's a lot to be said for Clay County, but I don't have any insight that they are still in the mix. I think John Sherman would love a downtown baseball stadium. I've always thought that. I think that's where his heart lies. But again, it's a business, and you have to go where the opportunities are in terms of the finances.
Yeah, you do. And by the way, I know you've covered this issue along with others on For the People, your Sunday morning show on Fox 4. And you don't get the vibe, and I feel the same way, that these guys running for governor really have any interest in directly giving taxpayer dollars to either of these franchises. It feels like we're just not in a political climate where people are interested in doing that right now.
That's the issue for Missouri, because Missouri does not have a similar package of star bonds like Kansas does, where investors buy the bonds and they're reimbursed on their investment based on the development around the stadium. That's something Missouri doesn't have. So you're asking Missouri to come up with other opportunities or other ways that would include direct infusions. Guess what? The Cardinals are getting ready to redo their stadium in downtown St. Louis. You have two franchises in Kansas City, Missouri, that are looking to upgrade with new stadiums, or originally the Chiefs were, revising what they had at Arrowhead. I don't see an appetite for it politically in Missouri. And again, we had John Ashcroft on For the People, or Jay Ashcroft, I should say, on For the People here a couple of weeks ago. He flat out said no money for billionaires. And I understand that Senator Eigel has made the same comment. We hope to have him on as well. I know you've talked to him. I just don't see it. I really don't.
I don't either. John Holt is here on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM. Last thing, I saw you also had Dr. Prasanth Reddy on. He is a Republican hopeful in the Kansas 3rd District race. And people ask me, they say, hey, are you going to focus on the 3rd District race in Kansas like previous cycles? And I point blank tell people no. I mean, we'll cover it, but I hate to say it, John. Right. I mean, it's not quite Emanuel Cleaver's district, but I need to see some evidence that this 3rd District has any chance to be competitive, and I haven't seen it. What do you think about that race? And Prasanth Reddy has a very impressive resume, but I don't know the pathway right now in the 3rd District of Kansas for a guy like him.
He's an impressive man, and we look forward to having Karen Sankovich on as well. We want to give all of the candidates a chance to weigh in. As long as I've lived in Johnson County, for example, the demographics have definitely changed. And I think that you have a Democrat congresswoman who has served the district well in terms of constituent services. She's in the district a lot, and it will be a lot to overcome. Even redrawing the boundaries, Sharice Davids increased her number over her opponent in the last cycle. So it's going to be a tall order. It's not out of the question but I do think whoever runs against Sharice Davids will have to be aggressive, raise a lot of money, and the pathway will be a difficult one for sure. No doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, John, congratulations on that Roger Donlin Award from Saturday night. Thanks again for having me out there as your NC. It was an honor, and we'll talk to you soon, my friend. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. And again, very humbled to be named as an honoree in the name of a man who we just love and miss dearly. But thank you very much for being there, being a part of it. You did a great job.
Thank you. That is John Holt, Fox 4. You see him every night. Joining us here on KCMO Talk Radio, 95.7 FM, streaming on the KCMO Talk Radio app.